When I was a child, I used to think that the zoo was one of the coolest places ever. Now I know that about 100 million animals are taken from the wild to be internationally traded every year. This includes the trade for consumption, captivity, and profit. These are very serious forms of human intervention with wildlife that can cause animals to fall victims to mental, emotional, and physical abuse. Human intervention and animal captivity keep animals from living a high quality of life in a proper ecosystem and cause an alarming amount of harm to the animals and their habitat. In order to provide animals with a better life and preserve their natural habitats and instincts, human intervention in animal captivity should be non-existent. It has become common today to dismiss the fact that animal captivity can be just as dangerous to a human as it can be to an animal. Their natural born killers, ABC News, stated that even though the animal is pulled from its natural habitat, it still has its wild instincts intact. Though an animal can be tamed or raised in captivity by humans, their wild instincts never truly go away, and they can show at any moment for any reason. There have been countless reports of animals attacking their keepers, trainers, or even the visitors. CNN did a story on a SeaWorld trainer that was attacked in 2004 by a 600-pound whale. It was trying to repeatedly dive on top of him and pull him underwater. They had been working together for over 10 years, and this was the fourth reported attack that the whale had on his trainer, but he continued to show more similar attacks over the years. The trainer survived, but did suffer from several serious injuries. This attack was not caused by anything that triggered the whale to act out. Its natural instincts had simply clicked in his brain. There have been plenty of other incidents, however, where people have been known to provoke the animals and they react viciously. CNN did another story on a 17-year-old boy who went to a zoo in 2007 with his friends, and he began teasing a tiger by shaking his leg inside the bars. The tiger dumped the 20-foot melt and mauled the boy to death. This tiger was born and raised in captivity at the Denver Zoo and was later moved to San Francisco earlier that year, where he mauled the boy to death. Disease is another factor of animal captivity that can be potentially harmful to both the humans and the animals. Introducing an animal to a new location could possibly open them to a new disease or virus that could be dangerous to their health, or they could bring with them a disease or virus that is dangerous to the humans that they interact with every day in captivity. The Minnesota Department of Health shared that most animals are captured from the wild have been known to bring with them either the measles, rabies, smallpox, influenza, blast mycosis, HIV, the plague, diphtheria, West Nile virus, intestinal viruses, tuberculosis, salmonella, Lyme disease, or many more with them. In his article, The Petting Zoo, James Andrews wrote a story on a 13-year-old girl named Katie Manis who went to a petting zoo in 2003 at a North Carolina state fair where she and her two friends observed and played with wild goats. The goats acted up and knocked her to the ground. The fair apparently assumed that they did not need a proper hand-washing and sanitization station, so she was unable to clean herself off properly, and within a few short days she got very sick and was diagnosed with E. coli. She went into kidney failure and had hemolytic uremic syndrome and was rushed to a pediatric ICU, but was placed on a waiting list because she was only one of the 108 that had been diagnosed with E. coli, all of which had gone to the same petting zoo at the same fair that week. Humans are not the only victims, though. Poor living conditions and low standards set by facilities can lead to the creation of mold and diseases that can cause the death of some animals if not treated properly. Pollination did a study and released a statement claiming that while in captivity, animals have also been diagnosed with having either situational anxiety, thin cell syndrome, hoarding, OCD, stable vice, destructive behavior syndrome, or even addiction. Many of these psychological diseases are caused by stress, boredom, anxiety, and depression. Recent studies like these shed new light on the fact that animals have the same emotions and thinking as humans do, which previous studies have not yet addressed. Most of these diseases are treated with the same medications that humans would use to calm or treat the listed symptoms. However, these diseases would never have occurred if they were not in captivity to begin with. Jenny Laidman released an article in The Blade saying that one of the most common drugs that is given to animals are antidepressants. They are known to keep the animal from acting up, but once the animals have been on antidepressants for long periods of time, they become dependent and therefore create an addiction. There have also been plenty of reports of animals being physically and mentally abused by their caretakers. The Last Chance for Animals believe that many zoos have been known to breed their animals at the end of every season so that they can have new babies to pull in lots of visitors at the beginning of the next season. This quickly creates a problem of overpopulation at the zoo, so they take the oldest animals and sell or kill it to make room for the new baby. Many times these surplus animals are only a few years old, but at such a young age it is considered useless to a zoo. If the animal is killed it is either directly disposed of or used as food for some of the other animals in the captivity. Animals are constantly showing signs of being stressed or bored while in captivity because they are unhappy being away from their natural habitat and act out. Abnormal behaviors did a study on zoochosis, a disease most commonly diagnosed to an animal inside of captivity. It is caused by stress from being held in an unfamiliar artificial environment with little stimulation, enrichment, or opportunity. Zoochosis symptoms include repetitive movements, pacing, head bobbing, rocking, repeatedly tracing their steps, sitting motionless, or biting the bars of their cages. Scientists have not been able to come up with a known medical cure for zoochosis because it is caused by a simple lack of freedom. Because enclosures cannot compare to the habitat that they are used to, animals instantly experience a more depressing and lower quality of life. Many animals are used to having large areas to roam and enjoy having an opportunity to change their scenery. However, they are unable to do so inside of captivity because they're limited and confined area. Scientists from Keep It Wild have been watching wild elephants for years and found that they will walk an average of 20 miles every day and rarely return to the same area for long. They are very curious and adventurous creatures that have to walk to survive, yet inside of captivity, they are kept inside small concrete enclosures that prevent them from getting the physical movement that they are used to. Most species are also used to roaming in large herds but are kept in pairs of 2, 3, and rarely 4. Elephants are another good example for this because in the wild, there are normally 6 to 12 of them per herd, and inside of captivity are kept inside of 2s and rarely 3s. Without the necessary space and companionship they are used to, animals can feel stressed, and this can lead to emotional distress and mental illness. Animals are also kept from exercising their natural instincts. The LCA, Last Chance for Animals, has proven that through countless investigations that animals never lose their natural instincts. This includes their natural instinct to hunt, feed, and roam. When animals are kept inside of captivity, they are kept on a scheduled eating plan that suppresses their natural senses and can cause more and more stress. Because animals are stuck in a never-changing environment, they begin to lack mental stimulation and physical exercise and can cause mental and physical illness that can cause disability for the rest of their lives. Without their independence in the wild, animals can become overly attached to the artificial environment and its keepers. This can be bad for the animal in a rare case where the enclosure may decide to release the animal back into the wild because the animal can lash out at the other animals or go into distress because they do not know how to handle the situation they have been faced with. Many animals have also become overly obese because of poor diet and lack of exercise. PETA found that on average an elephant can only survive about 17 years in captivity, yet they can survive about 56 years in its natural habitat. This is because they are accustomed to live in their natural habitat, and an artificial habitat is not suitable to meet their needs for survival. Often, conservation areas and facilities such as zoos try to justify animal captivity by saying that they are animal sanctuaries or are existent for educational means. Many of these facilities are being misrepresented, though. A sanctuary that breeds animals outside of a conservation effort is not, in fact, a sanctuary at all. A true animal sanctuary does not breed animals for personal gain or display. Many of these facilities also claim to be educational, yet they offer no true education. This is not to say that there are no zoos that truly practice relevant and reliable research. Those that do put in an effort only examine the physiological structure of a captive animal and occasionally the illness that it has acquired. These results, however, are all directly toward an animal in captivity and offer little information about the animal in the wild that needs better conservation and efforts put in. There is also a set of requirements that a facility must maintain to be accredited by the Association of Zoos and Aquarium in order to be noticed as a legitimate educational site. Some of these requirements not only include correct, detailed information on the animal, but a clean and healthy living facility. There are roughly 350 zoos in America, and out of those, only 142 are accredited as an educational site through the American Association of Zoos and Aquariums. Accredited zoos and aquariums are also known to put more money into the country's economy. In 2003, accredited facilities put more than $17 billion into the U.S. economy and supported more than 166,000 jobs and accepted about 181 million visitors annually. Most zoos do not even try to become accredited because they know that they will not pass inspection. The American Sanctuary Association stated that animal sanctuaries follow a strict list of high-quality animal care standards that are set in place to guarantee the best chance of survival and rescue for both animals and their environment. Animal sanctuaries are not allowed to breed, sell, trade, or use any animals for any commercial purposes. It is existent for the purpose of helping the animal in a high-quality care area and ensure the best interest of the animal. National parks also provide a safe home for native animals and plants and allow humans to observe them in nature with strict rules so that there is little to no interference between them. They help us to not only learn about the environment and the animal, but keep the area clean and prestige so that it is a safe and enjoyable area for everyone. Simply put, they're a nonprofit rescue center that provides a shelter for abused, unwanted, orphaned, or neglected animals. They practice and teach compassionate living, including keeping the animals in a more natural habitat. These facilities are much more ideal than any zoo or animal captivity center because they allow the animal to live in a more natural habitat with the protection and minimal human intervention so they do not become dependent on humankind. Animal sanctuaries should replace zoos in order to save the millions of animals that are traded for consumption, captivity, and profit each year. This is a way to protect the animals and allow humans to interact with the environment with little intervention or invasion. These are the places that people can visit and learn about native plants and animals, how they work, and why it is so important to conserve the species and what people can do to help.